we have a little poll here for you guys. If just at the time when you're just waiting for this to start, maybe you can also just participate in this little poll to let us know what are your thoughts on this. Okay, thank you very much. Very nice. I'm actually just saying that we have like most of our friends here who are actually just looking into starting for astrophotography. I think that's a very, very keen interest. So Peng Xiong, that's very good for you. Please take note of that. I think majority of that, we are looking like 83% here. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And yes, and 13% has actually just got started in astrophotography. So you have a little experience here and there. And yeah, we have like 4% here who have done a number of astrophotography shoots. So okay, so we also have some experienced guys here. That's really, really good. Okay, so thank you for that participation. And let's end this. Okay, we shall get started. How about that? Okay. So welcome everyone for tuning in today. My name is Julian, and together with Ming Wei, we are actually your host for today. So this is the start of a series of topics on astrophotography. We will try our best to keep each session between half an hour to 1 hour. And please key your questions into the chat box, and our guest speaker will answer this at the end of the workshop, okay? Yeah. So note that the next session, okay, will be on the 26th of July. 26th of July, that's 2 weeks later at this same time, 4 p.m. Do look out for the invites for this. And we have the honor to invite Kwek Peng Xiong, or more popularly known as GPS. So you can call him GPS, it's easier, okay, that way. So GPS is here to present this series to you. Myself, I call him Peng Xiong. Okay, so if I refer to Peng Xiong or GPS, you know who that is. So Peng Xiong has a lot of experience with all areas of photography, in particularly astrophotography. So hope everyone can learn something today and take something away from this session and the other sessions that we are going to do. Okay, yeah. So he is one of Top Liners Club Photo Masters. Top Liners Club is actually a boutique photo travel agency, boutique travel agency licensed here in Singapore. And one of its main strengths is to provide photographic trips. So in this example of astrophotography, okay, if you are interested to join GPS when it's safe to do so, of course, after the COVID-19 situation, please check out the trips at toplinersclub.com, toplinersclub.com, okay, when they are available. And with this, let me pass over the time to GPS or Peng Xiong, yeah, to start this session. Peng Xiong, please.
Okay, hello everyone. As you know, I'm Peng Xiong of GPS. Today I'd like to share a bit on astrophotography, in particular, how to shoot Milky Way with your DSLR that you have. And you don't need to have any very high-end equipment. At the end of the session, you should know. I will share with you the equipment that I will be using for this shooting this Milky Way. And okay, for me, I've started shooting Milky Way somewhere in 2012, which is around 8 years ago. Okay, let me move to my next slide. Okay, so I will share with you with a few of my shots that I've taken recently. This is taken in somewhere in Malaysia, and this structure, you need to take it during the low tide session. So you have to study a lot of stuff before you can take the shot. And by the way, this structure is no more there because it's totally being erupted, gone. Okay, this photo that I'm sharing with you now is taken in Bromo. It's a place that I've bring at least 13 groups there for this photo shoot. So I've been there more than 13 times. Okay. And with a little bit of setup, I put some lights to make it more interesting. And this one is one of my most memorable shots because it's a hard to get shot because I have a meteoroid in the shot, and it's a fireball that actually lasted for at least 5 minutes. And it's a very fortunate to have this kind of nice composition. So this is what I always look for when I take Milky Way. I look for something additional like meteoroids. Okay, so into our main topic of how to shoot Milky Way with your DSLR. Okay, there are 3 parts that you must take note of. Okay, I'll start off with the first one, which is focusing. Okay, because you can't really do focusing at night, so you have to do your focusing in the manual mode, which means you have to switch your lens to manual focusing. Some cameras need to switch the body to manual focusing as well. Sometimes it's a bit hard to find the sweet spot of the focus. So one of the best way you can do is to practice your manual focusing during the daytime, where you focus somewhere in a very far distance away and get the best manual focus for infinity for your lens. Every lens differ a bit, so it's good to know which is the best selection of this infinity focusing on your lens. So if you want to try, can actually after you get the focusing right, you tape it down and get it ready for your night shots. Okay, so infinity focus is very important. Okay? And next is the aperture of your lens. Okay, the opening basically is that you can open to the widest, the best, the best. Okay, if you have f2.8, I will use f2.8. So far, I have not encountered anything less than f2.8. If your lens is f4, f3.5, it's still fairly okay. It's just that if you do not have anything smaller, anything wider than 2.8, you can compensate by other factor, okay, like the ISO. Okay? So if you have f2.8, f4, f3.5, you still can afford to have a slightly lower as ISO later part. And for exposure time, we use this rule called 500 rule, which I use it very often. Okay, this allows you to calculate the focal length of your based on the exposure time based on your focal length. Okay, because every lens, the focal length when it's different, the exposure time will affect how sharp your picture is. So if exposed too long, you will have the star starting to trail because the Earth does move. So if your focal length is longer, you need a shorter exposure time. So in general, if you were to have a 20 mm lens, okay, you take 500 divided 20, you should be able to get the maximum time you can use, okay, to expose your photo. Okay, that's why when I do astro photography for Milky Way, I will try to use as wide focal length lens as possible. So the lens that I use currently is mostly the 12 mm Laowa lens, which is a prime lens and it's manual focus. So and it's small and light, and so it fulfill all my the 3 factor that I have. The focusing is manual. The aperture is the biggest, 2.8. The time I can go for maybe around 25 seconds. Okay, for ISO, which you can start off as low as 1006. But through my past few experience, the more I shoot, I feel that ISO 1006 sometimes is not enough. So now I try always go more than around 2000 or more. Okay. So with this few settings in mind, the manual focusing, aperture, exposure time, and ISO, okay, you're good to shoot a nice Milky Way shot. Okay. Let me show you some example of my timing. Okay. In this shot, I took around 25 seconds at 12 mm, and using ISO 2005. You can see that it's quite well exposed. Okay, this one is because there's some light, some light lamppost nearby, so I can see the house is quite nicely and evenly lit up. Okay, this one is a shot that I've taken this year in February. Okay, it's at a waterfall, whereby if you want to compose a waterfall with the Milky Way, it's like this is the best angle you can get when it's horizontal. And because the place is so dark, there's no light at all, I need to use ISO 6004. Okay, and I also place a dim light lamp at the bottom corner to make the foreground a bit bright. Otherwise, 6004 is also not enough to make the foreground bright enough. Okay, as you can see in my photo, most of them I use around 25 seconds. Okay, this is a shot that is taken in Singapore itself, and is Singapore basically there's a very heavy light pollution. So there's no way you can get a nice Milky Way shot with, as you see before, like this type of Milky Way shots. Okay, so it's taken when with some special techniques called ETTR, which I will share in my next few sessions. So I use around 20 seconds, f4, and ISO 2000. Okay, this is taken with 8 of a filter as well. Okay, okay. So with a few techniques that the few composition that there is a usage of the settings, and we can choose the camera that we want to use. Okay, so for basically the camera body that we'll be using, I will recommend a DSLR or mirrorless SLR. Okay, full frame is always preferred. Okay, there's a few reasons for that. Because when you use a full frame, you have a more choice of wide angle lenses to use. Because when you use the 500 rules, okay, you must also incorporate the crop factors of the lens and the camera sensor size. Okay, so for example, if your camera is a non-full frame, like maybe a DX camera from Nikon, you have to down 1.5. So for example, if your lens is a 220 mm, you must 20 times 1.5, okay, which gives you 30 mm, then you have to use the 500 divided 30, so you need to have a shorter exposure of time. Okay, so that's why you need. Okay. Then full frame body typically will handle ISO better, especially the newer range of cameras. You have better ISO handling. So I tend to upgrade my camera body quite often because I want to have a better ISO handling. Lenses as wide as possible. So that's why I always choose the widest I can have, which is 12 mm so far. I don't really recommend fisheye lenses because I don't like the kind of distortion is giving to the overall composition, whereby everything is curvy and distorted. So I still prefer to stick to my 12 mm Laowa. Sometimes I use my 14 mm Canon as well, because they actually give minimum distortion at the edge, especially at the edge of the lenses. And for the experience that I have with this 12 mm Laowa lens, I find that it is less prone to fogging when there's a very low temperature in the surrounding. So actually it's very good. Because I've tried before, I placed two cameras side by side, one with fixed with the 14 mm Canon lens, the other one fixed with a Laowa 12 mm, both shooting time lapse at the same time. And the Canon lens actually fog after like half an hour of shooting. So which means maybe because the lens have more glasses. Okay. So for DX, if you are using a DX body, recommended to look for lenses between 10 to 12 mm. Okay. And if you are using full frame, between 12 to 20 mm is ideal. Anything more than 20 mm, I will don't really recommend. Okay, because first thing you will affect your composition because you can't capture a lot, and second thing is that you affect how long you can expose your picture. Because actually in astrophotography, the longer you can expose your photo, the better. But because of the star trailing, if you expose your photo too long, you will have star trail. So that's why you have to compensate by having a shorter exposure time by using a wide angle lens. Okay? And for lenses, there's one thing I want to highlight is that try not to use kit lens, because if you notice kit lens, there's no way to take note of the infinity marking. There's no focusing distance window in the lens, so kit lens will be a bit tough to capture Milky Way at night. One of the way you can try is to like focus infinity in the daytime, then use a tip to take down the focusing ring so that it will move. Then at night, then you can try. But it won't be as sharp as compared to a lens that have focusing distance gauge. Okay. Okay. Other things that you need when you shoot Milky Way, basically is the steady tripod. And steady means that the tripod, when it's extended, right? Anything there's a strong wind, okay, the tripod won't move too much, won't move, okay. Then sometimes you can use clamp pods, because clamp pods basically is a kind of tripod that clamps on to something else. Okay. For slider is only if you plan to do time-lapse video. Okay. If not, you want to explore slider in the beginning. So if you, as a beginner, it's always good to just start off your tripod and just try to get nice Milky Way shots first. Okay, next important thing you must have is a remote cable or intervolometer. Okay, remote cable is because you do not want to trigger the shutter with your finger, because by doing that you may cause vibration, some shake in the camera during the 25 seconds exposure. Okay, so with a remote cable, at least you can minimize all this vibration. And intervolometer is good to invest in if you wish to do time lapse in the future. So these are the device I can get. Okay, so this is the brand that currently I'm using, and I find it's quite durable. One device itself, the battery life close to 2 years. I can go with 2 years without changing battery, and it's still working. I've been using mine since 2012. Up till now, I only changed once, so it's more than 5 years. Okay, okay. Next, you need to have heat packs if you want to plan to shoot time lapse, because when you're out in the vegetations at night or in the morning, there will tend to have some dews that will condense around your lens. Okay, so when they condense around your lens will fog out. So every photo you take is all white. You can't see anything. Okay, so heat pack basically helps to like keep your lens warm. So normally we apply the heat pack on top of the lens. So we look for those that can stick, and we stick it on the lens. Okay. Raincoat for cameras and yourself, so it's something essential. Okay, a few chair, because typically if you out in the open to shoot Milky Way, you won't be there for just 10 minutes. I will easily stay there for 1 hour or two. So a chair will be good for you to sit around. Okay. So with the equipments and the techniques on how to shoot the Milky Way, I would like to share some tips on how to get a good shot as well. Okay, first thing is always that you must always research on when and where the Milky Way will appear, because Milky Way there's a season. It for example in Singapore, in this Singapore, Indonesia, that region, which I always go. It's typically the Milky Way season is somewhere end February to somewhere around September. So you must know when. So I understand that there's someone from Netherlands, so they will have different timing. So you need to know when the Milky Way will appear. And Milky Way also appear when there's no, you can only see Milky Way when there's no full moon. Because if there's a full moon, then definitely you will not be able to see Milky Way. So you must know when the Milky Way will appear and which direction, where. So which direction will the Milky Way come out from? Okay, this part I will share more in the next session that I'll be going to conduct. Okay, getting your focus right. This is very important because I've seen a lot of beginners when they shoot Milky Way. They get the Milky Way, but when you zoom in to look at the photos, you can notice that the focusing is not sharp. Okay, so you must always get a focus right. So you must, the best practice is always try your infinity focus during the daytime. Get it right so you know where is the best spot for your Milky Way. The best focusing for your this Milky Way shots. And the well exposed photo. Okay, I bring a few groups, a lot of groups, and the common problem that I notice in most of the photographers who are like they are learning or they are afraid to make a bright exposed picture. They tends to like feel like, oh, the photo is too bright, so they try to make it darker. But in Astro, I will feel that the brighter the photo, it will be better. Okay, because you want to capture more light. Because the stars are all very far away, and you need more time to expose the light, right? So the brighter, the better. Okay, because when it's brighter, next thing is that you assist you in the next step in post processing. Okay, so it's always not to be too conservative. As long as it's not overexposed, okay, bright is better. Okay? And always shoot in RAW. Okay, this RAW to me is it makes it easier for you to post-process your photos, because if you don't post-process your photo, a Milky Way shot won't be so you won't feel wow and look at the photo, or you feel okay, it's a Milky Way shot. You won't feel wow, it look nice, because you must really do some post-processing to make the Milky Way pops up, okay? Which I will show you later. So this is something like if you were to take a Milky Way shot, in your camera you may see something like this. Okay, it doesn't. You can see that it's a Milky Way shot, but it won't look so outstanding. So after some post processing, you should be able to get something like this, where you can actually make your Milky Way pop up from the photos. Okay, next is on how to compose. Okay, because there's a lot of problem when you want to compose a photo in the dark. Okay, I have been through a few groups that, not my group, they the way they compose is so funny. They shine the torchlight on the surroundings, so it actually affects everyone who are shooting around. So actually, it's not a very good etiquette when you shoot with other groups. Okay, so let me teach you on how to shoot, how to compose, okay, without affecting anyone. Okay, okay. So the easiest way to compose is to set your camera to the highest ISO, open up to the biggest aperture, which you will be there, and shoot for around less than 1 second or 1 second shutter speed. You should be able to get a decent view of how you want to compose your photo. Okay, so with that, then you can just next is to or you can use this live view of your camera feature, because nowadays a lot of cameras, especially Sony, you can on live view and see the exposure and compose the picture very easily. So live view does help. If you, I've used this Sony's camera AR. Okay, actually it's quite good. You can use the live view to compose it nicely because it actually simulates the exposure. So actually you can use the live view to compose. And a lot of cameras nowadays have this horizon, virtual horizon, where there's a grid of a line, there's a green or red. Okay, if it's green means it's horizontal. If it's red means it's out of the horizon. So that allows you to maybe compose a picture better as well to make the picture look straight. Okay, so hope this does help in how you compose, so that you won't need to shine a torchlight on any places or subject foreground to help you compose. Because in my way of shooting, basically we like to have the Milky Way on top of the sky with a nice foreground in front to make a nice picture. Okay, we don't want to just shoot the Milky Way. We just want to just shoot everything, the foreground plus the Milky Way. Sorry, this one's okay. So this is another photo that I want to share is that if you take a single shot, let's see, okay, on this point, capture 5 to 10 shots of same composition without moving. Okay, this one does helps a lot in helping you to reduce noise. Okay, so typically when you shoot a Milky Way at the same spot, I recommend you to take at least 10 shots of the same scene. Okay, because it does help you in editing later. For example, this one was taken in China. It was so dark that even with this high ISO, you see that the foreground is very noisy. Okay, you can see all the noise here, especially this part, because there's no light all in the place. Okay, if I were to take 10 shots and combine them, you can see that I can stack up the foreground and make the foreground less noisy. At least I can even make it brighter. Okay, so it's always good to take more shots at the same spot. Don't just take one. Take a few more with a nice Milky Way. Okay, so that will help you have a better picture for you to post process. Okay, so with this, I think I will do a simple demo before I take questions. Okay, let me switch to another session. Let me do a simple demo on how to achieve, right, to get from this photo, which is the original, to another photo, which is this one. This is the end result I want to achieve to get a pop-up Milky Way. This is the original, where you can see the Milky Way. Okay, let me open up the file. Sorry, my notebook is slow. It's not responding to my click. Okay. While waiting for the photo to load, since I'm trying to open up in RAW. No way. Let me stop the share first. Okay. Okay, so I managed to open up in the RAW editor. Okay, so I always recommend to shoot in RAW. As you can see in RAW, you have all these settings that you can adjust. Okay, so you could actually, normally what I'll do in the RAW editor, I will adjust the exposure slightly a bit more. Okay, increase a little bit of contrast. And I don't like the sky to be so bright, so maybe I'll reduce the highlight a bit. Then I want the foreground to look more brighter, I increase the shadow. The more you increase, they can see more foreground. But the thing is that you get a lot of noise. So maybe you just do some moderation yourself. Maybe somewhere around here should be okay. Then the whites and blacks, right? You can do it in this manner such that you can increase a bit of contrast. Then the sky, right? I want to further make it a bit darker. So I do the dehaze, which is a new feature in Photoshop. I can reduce it, make it darker, and give you some contrast. Okay. Then if you want, I can do some vibrance. I don't really use the concentration or saturation. I rather use the vibrance to balance up the color. Okay, so I just do minus tuning in this RAW editor. Then I open up the file in this Photoshop. Okay, once you open it in Photoshop, okay, I will do editing based on one photo and show you how I can make the Milky Way look more dramatic. So what I do is normally I will duplicate my photo itself first, in case I accidentally do something to it. So normally I'll do a layer, duplicate layer. Okay, so I make a duplication of my this existing photo. Okay, so the next step, first step I always do is to add in an adjustment layer, the contrast, to add the curve adjustment layer. So in this, I will use this picker to find out which is the brightest spot of the Milky Way. Okay, you can see the mark here. And when I click on the darker spot of the Milky Way, it will give me another spot here. So this is the two reference point which I will use to adjust my curve. Okay, you see I pull up this part of the curve. You can see as I adjust, the contrast will change. So it makes the I lost my microphone just now.
Peng Xiong, you may want to come closer. We can't hear you on the mic.
Okay, maybe because I think my microphone, I think the battery went down. Let me use go closer to the mic. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, still a little bit soft. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the technicalities. Just bear with us for a little while.
It's soft. Is it okay now? Still not very. Let me see. How about now? Is it better?
Okay, yeah, it's better, but could still be a bit louder if it's possible. So you may want to repeat the last step so that everyone will be able to catch up to it.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So for this, the last step basically is just to adjust the contrast. So you can see that when I change the using this reference point that I marked just now, I adjust the level. So you can see that actually the Milky Way actually pops out. Okay. So, but the thing no good is that when you do this, the surrounding also become affected. So it doesn't look nice. So what I can do is that I'll use the masking tool to mask out those areas that I want to have this effect. So what I do, I will go over to the bucket area, bucket tool first. This bucket tool, paint bucket tool. Okay, I will use this. Then I change the color sector to black color. Okay, by filling up the whole mask with black color, you can see black color, means that the effect that I've adjusted just now is gone. So to bring out the effect that I want to show, I use the brush tool. Okay, change the color to white. Okay, and typically I'll use 100% opacity, and I will use like hardness as 100%. Okay, then I will, you see, when I brush over the Milky Way that I want, okay, and I try to visualize how I want the Milky Way to look like. So I just brush away things that I want to show. Okay, so this is how I want the Milky Way to look like at the end. Okay. Okay, it looks ugly, right? Okay, because all the edges are not, it's also defined. Okay, so there's one trick that you can learn from this is that I can use this filter, Gaussian blur, okay, to make the edge gone. Okay, the radius here, okay, you can try ranges from 100 to 200 pixels. Okay, it should work. Okay, so after you apply the filter, you can see that actually the edges are all gone. It's all smoothed out. Okay, so and this will give you a relatively pops Milky Way. You can do further editing, okay, which I don't think I have time, because I can do further editing to make the sky a bit more not so bright, and maybe also I can do a short one, which is I add in a filter. Okay, if I find that the sky is a bit too yellow, I want to make it a bit cooler, so I can add in a filter. Okay, and just the intensity of the filter. So you can feel that, okay, actually I can make it not so yellow. So it make it more different type of feel. That's why when I take a photo itself, I do not use any setting on my white balance. I set to auto. So I adjust the white balance after when I'm doing the editing. Okay, so I guess this is something which I like. Okay, so this is how I really edit my photo. And let me, if you have time, you can even do a step further by doing this. Is this screen shared? By doing this, let me share the screen. Okay, when you take the photo at a time, you have two shots. One with the normal setting that is you, which is the 25 seconds ISO 5000, right? The other shot, you can take like 35. I think this one is 25 minutes, if I know. This one is 25 seconds. The same. Oh, I think this is not the correct photo. It's not the original. This one take around, I think, 5 minutes to capture a bright foreground. So what I do is that I increase the exposure timing. I take more, make the foreground look brighter. Then with that, you can see that the stars are all gone. Okay, but that one is for me to do what is to give me a foreground. So with the foreground, okay, I can actually apply this foreground, duplicate it onto my previous photo. So you can see with the foreground, without foreground, okay, and I must spend some time to do the masking, which I can't think I have time to do it now, so I just mask it beforehand. So with the nice foreground and the nice Milky Way, you get a nice composition, nice photo for yourself with a bright foreground and a bright enough Milky Way. Okay, so that's more I can of my sharing. Juliet, do you want me to pick up some questions?
Oh, yes, yeah. Thank you so much, GPS. Everyone, I hope that this has give you a nice overview of basically how astrophotography starts from the beginning all the way to the end until you get your final photo. So you can see that there's actually quite a bit of things to learn. And Peng Xiong, I think that what happened in the course of your presentation, there are actually some questions that come in. So let me just ask on their behalf for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically there's a question from Sin asking where in Singapore can we try out astrophotography? So where are some of the nice spots that you can do this?
Okay, the spot that I started off that I showed just now is Marina Barrage, the rooftop garden. Because the opposite side there's not much light pollution and
Okay,
it's easy to access.
right, okay.
And
So,
the more difficult access places are those like in the Kranji area, which
I
is
see.
very far away. So yeah, you must have transport there.
Okay, I see. So technically where there is lesser light pollution, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you do that at the Marina Bay front?
Marina Bay front is a bit too bright because there are a lot of buildings there.
Okay,
Yeah. Or you can try East Coast Park.
East Coast Park. Okay, yeah.
Yes, East Coast Park, the Bedok Jetty side.
Another place that I know, which is a pretty well kept secret, is Pulau Ubin. You know, if you are to stay overnight in the northern part of the island, that's actually completely dark. Yeah,
But Singapore's weather is very hard to predict.
that is correct.
So if you were to go there one time, maybe not enough, maybe you have to go there every week.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone, please take note, and I hope that Cinda has answered your question here. Okay, so let's get on to Bernard. Bernard asks, why can't we put infinity in the lens instead of manual focus?
Yes, you can put infinity in manual focus. You must set to manual focus before you can set to infinity. If not, when you press the button, shutter button, if you autofocus on, the infinity will move. So does that answer your question?
Okay, I'm not sure if that answers your question, Bernard, but Peng Xiong, is there a difference between every lens that you use different lenses? Because the infinity might not be at exactly where the infinity mark is. You know, so
Yes,
sometimes you have to adjust, right?
yes, it's always different for every lens, but it's around there. So you have to fine tune it by checking. So normally during my photo trip with my group, what I'll do is that on the first shoot, I will help everyone check their photo to make sure it's sharp at the correct infinity spot.
Right. So meaning to say that the infinity mark on every lenses is different. So this means that you cannot just rely on the mark to say that it's infinity. And it's better to maybe do a test in the daytime using this to see where your infinity is before you actually
Yes,
shoot at night, right?
yes, it's always best practice. Do some
Okay.
homework. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And I hope, Bernard, that has answered your question too. So now let's move on to Han Yao. Han Yao has actually two questions for you. So one question is, will the 500 rule calculation differs between an APS-C camera and a full frame one?
Okay. The only thing you must always incorporate in is to the crop factor. So if your sensor have a crop factor of 2, you must take the focal length times 2 first, then use that apply the rule.
Okay, yeah. Would you mind to repeat that one more time so that everyone gets it? Yeah, so it's very clear on that.
Yeah. So you must always remember what is your crop factor of your sensor. So some sensor got 1.5, some sensor got 2 times crop. So
Okay.
if your sensor is a 2x crop factor. You must take 20 mm, for example, your lens is 20 mm, 20 times 2, which is 40 mm. So you take 500 divided by 40.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Peng Xiong. And I hope that answered your question, Han Yao. And Han Yao got the other question is, what is the formula for the rule of 500? Okay, I think that just now when you went through that, it was quite brief. So you might want to spend some time to explain the rule of 500. So he just like to confirm whether is it 500 divided by the focal length. If that is the case, then why is it that with a 12 mm focal length, it's 25 seconds and not 41 seconds for the 500 rule?
Okay, if you follow the 500 rule, you can go up to 41 seconds. Nothing wrong. But I don't use that long because for wide angle lens, if you notice at the edge, there's tends to be some trailing if you use the exact 41 seconds. In the center part of the lens, no problem. But at the edge, normally you will see some trailing. So I will try not to use to the maximum 41 seconds. Does that hope that answer your questions?
Right. Okay. Han Yao, I don't know if that answered your question. If you still not too sure, please key into the chat box and then we will take that again. Okay. Thank you. And finally, we have one last question from Vinod. Vinod asks, when we take many shots, okay, should all the shots be taken at the same exposure time as per the 500 rule?
Okay, this is a bit tough question. I'll just, if you take a lot of shots for the purpose of what I mentioned just now to stack together to get this median shot, it doesn't need to be, okay? But if you want to use it for time lapse, yes, it's always must be the same number of same exposure time.
Okay. So talking about time lapse, guys, what happened is that as we go on with this series, we will definitely catch Peng Xiong somewhere, and then we will do this session on time lapse photography too. Okay, yeah. So that one we'll leave it for another day. But Vinod, I think what Peng Xiong is saying to answer your question is that because he's actually merging using like different parts of the exposure to merge the final shot together. So like just now in his demonstration, he has taken like the foreground, which takes about 5 minutes. And then he has also, take the time to do the Milky Way. So it's all at different exposure for different shots. And then finally putting them and merging them together into a single photo. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question here too. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and I see one more question that comes in, and Mark was saying to get Star Trail, what post-processing required? So Peng Xiong, you like to answer that for Mark? Yeah. So what post-processing is required to get Star Trail?
Okay, if you follow the way I take a single shot of Milky Way and do a star trail like 100 shots, there's some software you can use. In Photoshop, it's actually open up all the photo in one single layer. There's a software called Star Stacks, okay, which actually will take in all your photo and combine them for you.
Yeah.
So depending on what the software you plan to use.
Yeah, like what we say, we try our best to commit this to between half an hour to 1 hour session. So this is also a challenge for all of us because there's simply so many things to share. So my recommendation is that to find out more about Star Trail and also about post-processing, please continue to follow us closely, and then we'll be posting up the details for the next sessions, okay, coming up. And I hope that every session you all can pick up a tip or two, go with it. And then finally, when it's all safe to travel again, please follow us and go on one of these trips. And then Peng Xiong will be around to guide you personally so that to ensure that everyone also will get your astro pictures, okay? Yeah. So great. Is there any other questions here? I don't see any other questions. Yeah. And I think that very good. We are actually quite on time. Yeah. And thank you everyone for your precious time for coming on board to join us today. And yeah, so please look out. Our next session is on the 26th of July. That is 2 weeks later. Same time, same place. Okay, and then we'll be sending out the invite again. So thank you and see you again. Okay, yeah, bye bye. Have a good week ahead. See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.